There's really nothing progressive about progressive politics, especially when it comes to criminal justice reform. You've probably heard a lot about things like bail reform, bond reform, this idea that our system is unfair to criminals, and so we need to have lighter sentences for them to deter them from committing crimes. Seems a little counterproductive, right? And there's a lot of examples of how this doesn't work well, and a lot of examples of how sometimes there are ironic results of it. But I want to give you one very specific example right now. It's the story of the New Orleans district attorney, a guy named Jason Williams. He was recently carjacked at gunpoint in his own liberal city. Now, Jason Williams is one of these guys who is soft on crime. He's also one of the many district attorneys, sort of like the progressive judges around the country, that was funded by George Soros, a progressive political advocate who thinks that criminals don't belong in jail, they belong out on the streets. Now, like a lot of you, I hope you would agree, if jail is good for anything, it's for protecting the innocent from the dangerous. We certainly don't send criminals in this country to jail to be reformed or to get some kind of rehabilitation, to get them away from crimes. The recidivism rate in America for criminals is alarming. But all that being said, here's an example of a guy in his own city becoming a victim of a violent crime in a place where a lot of the violent criminals out on the streets are actually there because of New Orleans District Attorney Jason Williams, carjacked at gunpoint while hanging out with his 78-year-old mother. He was approached by two suspects earlier this week and held at gunpoint. And a lot of people are pointing to Jason Williams and saying, in a way, this is your own fault. These violent criminals run wild on the streets because you refuse to do more to keep them in jail. And there's a lot of examples of this. Earlier this year, there was a very light sentence imposed on a New Orleans man who admitted to fatally shooting a high school freshman. His punishment was 3 years of probation, and he was ordered to pay $5,600 in restitution to the victim's mother. A while back, you may have heard the Hard Rock Hotel in New Orleans collapsed, and 3 people died. The district attorney said maybe no charges would be necessary for the people responsible for that. There was an incident a while back on Bourbon Street in New Orleans where a celebrity, as a matter of fact, UFC fighter Nate Diaz, was arrested and allegedly rendered a man unconscious in a chokehold. The New Orleans DA refused a battery case against the celebrity. And, you know, with the exception of dangerous criminals and apparently celebrities, people that are actually directly connected to Jason Williams also benefit from his cronyism. One of his former law partners received probation in a tax fraud case, interestingly enough, in which Jason Williams was found not guilty. Boy, how fortunate for her to be friends with the DA. Now he's actually taken a second job with a New Orleans law firm that defended him. We learned about this back in August. The New Orleans law firm involved in defending the Orleans Parish District Attorney Jason Williams in his recent tax fraud trial has given him a job doing civil litigation. Must be nice. It's kind of remarkable how things like this happen. And, you know, for the record, District Attorney Jason Williams is also a guy that fights against payouts for wrongfully convicted defendants in his own community. Now, Jason Williams always seems to be on the wrong side of every argument, but now that he's become a victim of violent crimes in a city where he's advocated for less punishment for violent criminals, you wonder if he'll have a change of heart about some of his policies. You never know. It kind of reminds you of the case of Texas Congressman Henry Cuellar, who was recently carjacked at gunpoint in Washington, D.C., another so-called progressive politician who has been a victim, ironically enough, once again, of the progressive consequences of progressive criminal justice reform. I'm Kenny Webster. Thanks for watching this video. If you got anything out of it, please share, subscribe, like, follow me on social media, wherever you saw this at. Get connected with me. I appreciate your support. Thanks for watching.